Paper was like gold in medieval times.
Oh, not tobacco, sugar.
That everything we thought we knew about the world might turn out to be completely wrong.
So often, wild animals are the casualties of our human existence. Killed for profit. Their habitats under threat, made to live in cramped spaces, poorly fed. They're destined to live out their lives in misery unless someone takes action. Wild Animal Rescue follows the people from the international animal welfare charity 4 Paws as they go on daring and sometimes dangerous rescue missions to give animals a better life. In this episode, we follow 4 Paws' efforts to give captive lions a better life.
It was clear that this can't last for long because the situation was deteriorating really visible.
How do these conditions affect the animals, and what's being done to return them to health?
Well, she and he is a hermaphrodite. Inbreeding is the most common cause of hermaphrodites.
And a shocking yet legal industry that's threatening South Africa's lions.
We're breeding very beautiful animals like battery chickens.
This rescue mission centers on 5 lions living in depressing conditions in the town of Baia Mare in Romania. For the last 2 years, they've been kept in these enclosures, a few hundred square meters of concrete floors and walls and steel bars, little bigger than a suburban apartment. And for the majority of that time, their only human contact has been with veterinarian Dr Adin Miclaus. He knows their history ever since they first came to Baia Mare.
Și au fost aduși în anul 2002 în Baia Mare. Vârsta aproximativă 2 ani, dar nici și aceasta este relativă pentru că pe certificat scria 2 ani. Eu cred că sunt un pic mai în vârstă.
Those age estimates apply to the 3 older lions, Patrica, Lavinia and Lydia. They're siblings and originally performed as part of the Romanian state circus. But in 2002, the male, Patrica, attacked their trainer and they were no longer wanted. At that point, Dr Miclaus brought them to the Baia Mare City Zoo.
Inițial am fi vrut numai 2, dar fiind 3 și noi având spațiu, au fost aduse la Baia Mare.
Baia Mare is a small city of approximately 130,000 people in the northwest of Romania. Its zoo was one of 36 in the country. But when Romania became part of the European Union in 2007, that all changed.
At that point, a lot of legislation has to be put in place. And one of the pieces of legislation that was necessary for Romania to implement was the zoo directive.
That directive specified certain minimum standards that all zoos had to meet if they were to continue to operate, with one of the most important standards being the welfare of the animals. Like so many zoos in Romania, Baia Mare did not come up to scratch.
Deci grădina zoologică a fost construită în 1950 și cuștile au fost foarte mici. Neavând autorizație de mediu, neavând spațiu propriu pentru animale.
Located in the old part of Baia Mare, the zoo had no more space it could access, and the local council had limited funds to work with.
There were different attempts to buy more land or to find other solutions, but at the end, of course, with no budget and of not being the biggest priority of the city, that was the decision of the council to close the zoo.
The EU legislation states that when a zoo has to close, the animals should be relocated to other institutions which meet the standards. If that isn't an option, then the animals should be euthanized. That was the situation Dr Miclaus and his colleagues faced back in 2013.
Am încercat toate animalele care au fost, mă rog, vreo 22 de specii, au fost date la instituții autorizate, conform legii, cu spații conforme, cu așa. Lei n-am reușit să-i relocăm pentru că nu i-a dorit nimeni. Așa s-a ajuns la înființarea acestui compromis.
And it truly was a compromise. The council was sympathetic to the plight of the lions and allocated them vacant buildings and yards, with a plant nursery on one side and a rubbish dump on the other. Their new quarters consisted of 2 dark indoor cages and a small outside area where they could exercise. While the lions had been saved from being put down, they'd ended up in even worse conditions than were at the zoo.
Deci la grădina zoologică totuși avea un spațiu cam cel puțin de 3-4 ori mai mare decât aici.
The closure of the zoo also meant they no longer had access to regular veterinary care or good quality food. The council continued to provide a small budget for meat, but no other funding. So all the care, the daily feeding, the cleaning of the enclosure, that has all been done by Dr. Miclaus.
Nu, de 2 ani de zile nu pot să plec, pentru că cu 2 ani de zile numai s-o desfințat grădina zoologică, iar colegii au plecat în altă parte.
Dr. Miclaus began searching for a new home for his lions, and that's when he got in touch with FOUR PAWS.
When the call for rescuing them came to us, we visited them, and it was clear that this can't last for long because their situation was deteriorating really visible from a week to another, and especially the winters were very hard there because it was very wet, it was very dark and very cold, and as they are not very young, the parents are 15 years old, this has a very big impact and is deteriorating very fast the condition of the animal.
At FOUR PAWS headquarters in Austria, the staff were assigned the complex task of organizing the transport of 5 lions across international borders. Their destination, the Lionsrock Sanctuary in South Africa. Now the rescue mission is about to start. Dr. Miclaus has been given instructions as how to best prepare the lions for their journey.
În mod normal consumă carne de cal, dar acum, având în vedere că mâine vor urma să fie tranquilizați, am optat pentru niște plămâni, niște organe, ca să fie o mâncare mai ușoară, mai slim.
Having cared for them for so long, Dr. Miclaus has become attuned to subtle changes in their health, their moods and their eating habits.
Petrica nu e interesat. Este mai slab un pic. Acum are o perioadă, întotdeauna, în perioada spre iarnă, parcă slăbea un pic. Nu-mi dau seama, probabil și vârsta, dar nici nu este interesat de mâncare, deci...
The 5 lions are split into 2 groups. Patrica and his mate Lavinia live as a pair, and their offspring, Marine and Tahoun, keep company with 15-year-old Lydia, the sibling of the parents. This division began back in Baia Mare Zoo when Marine and Tahoun were born in 2003. At that time, there was a risk Patrica, the father, would attack the small cubs. Having 2 groups in such a small facility has made it difficult for Dr. Miclaus to manage them, particularly when it comes to recreation. The larger space outside provides an area for exercise, fresh air and natural light, but they can't all occupy it at the same time.
Deci erau făcuți cu rândul, încercam să-i țin pe ăia o săptămână înăuntru pe ăștia, să le dădeam drumul consecutiv afară, deci intrau și ieșeau pe rând.
The father, Patrica, has a preference for being outside, and that makes him reluctant to go inside for food.
Dar duce el la mâncare, dar se teme că îl închid iară. În momentul în care mă duc acolo, el va intra. În momentul în care vin acolo, el iese afară să uită la mine. De obicei, de aia, întotdeauna la felinele mari, lucrează 2 oameni. No, dar acum, cum n-am avut, e destul de greu să mergi acolo, să vii aici.
These kinds of issues won't be a problem when they move to their new home in South Africa.
Mă bucur că vor ajunge într-un loc propriu. Parecum m-am și atașat de ei. Dar, în mod cert, trebuie să ajungă acolo unde le este locul.
Over 8,000 kilometers away at Lionsrock in South Africa, the Baia Mare 5 will be joining many lions and other types of big cats rescued from Romania and neighboring European countries. Those feline refugees were very much the driving force behind establishing the sanctuary in 2006.
So it was clear that there is a huge need, and FOUR PAWS decided that if we will create a sanctuary, that it should be in a country or on a continent where the lions are actually coming from and where the habitat and the climate is according to what they need and where they normally would live.
Unfortunately, being in an appropriate environment doesn't cure the animals of all the sickness and infirmities they previously had. Many of them require ongoing care and treatment. Today, there are a series of operations scheduled, and veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell is anesthetizing the first lion. As coincidence would have it, the first patient of the day is a former Romanian lion called Akira. Rescued from a Romanian zoo in 2008, she has a large abscess on the underside of her jaw, which needs medical attention. It's obviously causing her pain and to be ill-tempered. Treating Akira is Dr. Gerard Steenkamp, one of only a few dentists specializing in the treatment of wild animals.
Because their teeth are so long, infection has gone in where the tooth is fractured, and you can actually see the abscesses burst out under the chin there.
Dr. Steenkamp has his suspicions as to what's caused the tooth to fracture.
If you look at the canines, you can see there's healthy enamel, and then it stops there, and the tips don't have enamel on them. So there's obviously something in the development of these teeth that went wrong. And so there was a weak spot there, and in the lower jaw, that tooth just snapped.
Many of the rescued big cats arrive at Lionsrock with damaged teeth. The cause is often linked to them being taken away from their mothers at an early age, and their subsequent diet not providing them with many key trace elements.
Calcium and those minerals which are needed to grow bone and cartilages and teeth are mostly not enough given to them when they are growing. And that means then when they are getting older that those bones and teeth are not strong enough and that they break easier.
Before the abscess can be treated, the dental team need to perform a root canal on Akira's fractured tooth. Holes drilled in the base and tip allow them to remove most of the infected tissue. The remaining decaying tissue is flushed out through the abscess that has appeared under her jaw. To complete the procedure, Dr. Steenkamp will have to drill away some of the bone around the abscess and then plug the hole from both sides.
This is the cement that we put into the canal. By now there shouldn't be any bacteria left there, but if there is, it will help to kill them.
While many of Dr. Steenkamp's instruments are common dentist tools, some had to be custom-made to enable him to work with the extremely long teeth found in big cats.
Suturing it closed, and then should be woken up.
Okay, let's pick her up. Let's go.
Left untreated, an infection like this would probably have been fatal, especially in the wild, where lions suffering from serious tooth problems die slowly of starvation because they can't properly chew the game they catch. Thanks to the dental team, the worst Akira will suffer is some discomfort as her wound heals. Next, the rescue of the Baia Mare lions finally gets underway.
Have a nice journey.
The day has finally arrived. The 5 lions of Baia Mare are about to leave Romania and the cramped enclosures that have been their home since the town zoo closed in 2013. A large contingent of local and international media have turned up. FOUR PAWS has sent a team of specialists from Romania and Germany experts in transporting large, dangerous predators.
We will have a look at the facilities and then want to have a talk to the veterinarian who took care about the lions over the last 15 years. So and then we discuss in our team how to proceed.
Even before the examinations are done, it's very obvious to the team that Dr. Miclaus has done all he can to look after the lions, despite a lack of resources and funding.
They're well cared for. They've been treated with respect by the veterinarian who saved their lives.
Saved their lives and made them a big part of his life. It will be hard for Dr. Miclaus to see them go.
Sentimentele sunt împărțite, mă bucur. În primul rând mă bucur că am reușit să-i relocăm. Asta încercăm de cel puțin mai mult, de 2 ani și ceva.
Each lion will be tranquilized. Then medical assessments will be performed to ensure he or she is in fit condition to go into a purpose-built travel crate and make the long trip to South Africa.
There will be a detailed inspection of the teeth, of their eyes, of the bones. So there will be really a lot of parameters that are going to be checked.
Marine is up first. He's one of the 2 offspring of Patrica and Lavinia.
Also very skinny. So the darting outside, it's better, but the only thing which is not good, if he is going to sleep in the middle.
Dr. Guritz is worried that after being darted, Marine could fall asleep in the middle of the cage. If this happens, then it becomes very difficult to tell whether he's properly tranquilized, and that makes it potentially dangerous for someone to enter the cage. Fortunately, Marine falls asleep in the back corner of the cage, within easy reach.
There are very sensitive areas, the ear, the nose, the tail tip, so to check how his ear is running.
Before commencing the health checks, they move Marine closer to the cage entrance to ensure a quick getaway if he wakes up.
Put it with the head there, that when he is getting good. Okay, now we can all the checkups, temperature.
It's common for captive lions to have a number of health issues, usually caused by poor diet, lack of exercise, and not enough exposure to sunlight.
He's a little bit skinny, definitely got the wrong diet. The really black feces, it's a lot of liver and heart, and so it's...
The inadequate diet over the last few years and all the hard metallic surfaces in the enclosure make it very likely his teeth have been damaged.
That's abnormal use here. Occlusion. No, it's not occlusion. That's
it's not occlusion.
This is
metal bar.
Metal bars.
The metal bars.
But in general, the teeth looks not too bad.
With the checks complete, the team load Marine into the travel crate. Once inside, the vets will give him an antidote to help him come around from the anesthesia.
Marine is first loaded. It's great. He's now calm, so I hope that he will not give any alarm signals to the other ones, because he knows what was going on. So hopefully he doesn't tell them, hey guys, watch out, there is a guy here with a gun, so hopefully. But he will sleep now, he will get the antidote, we will close the doors, and he will be the first ready to go.
Have a nice journey.
Back at Lionsrock, the operations are continuing, but this one isn't a dental operation. Wildlife veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell is dealing with the unusual case of Fiona, a 9-year-old lioness who doesn't look like a lioness.
Well, she and he is a hermaphrodite. She's got an overdeveloped clitoris in her vulva region, which is a very good sign that she is a hermaphrodite. And she's got 2 scrotal sacs without any testes in, and she tends to want to mate with other lions. So we're going to go and see what kind of sex organs she's got and then remove them, because if there is a uterus in there, there's a potential for an infection.
Having both sex organs in the one lion is unusual but not unheard of. Typically, it's caused by a lack of genetic diversity in the breeding population. resulting in closely related animals mating with one another.
Congenital genetics, yeah. Inbreeding is the most common cause of hermaphrodites in the lion population.
These kind of genetic abnormalities are rife at breeding farms. Fiona was rescued from one of these places, as were a number of lions here at Lionsrock. Ironically, before Four Paws bought this property, the land was used to farm lions.
It was a game farm and a breeding farm for game and as well as for lions mainly. He also had cub betting, he had young lions here at the lodge.
Lionsrock may have been turned into a sanctuary, but there are many places where lions are still being bred. Some estimates suggest that there are 7,000 lions being raised in captivity in South Africa.
We're breeding very beautiful, very intelligent, very long-lived social animals like battery chickens.
You see a lot of these breeding facilities, specifically in this country. The conditions that these animals are raised are so poor, unhygienic, and the people that do it are totally oblivious of any veterinary and medical and health aspects of these animals.
The purpose of all these breeding farms is to provide lions for South Africa's hunting industry and also the lion blood and bone industry.
In order to provide a constant supply of living targets, the hunting industry has had to turn to captive breeding.
Lions living in the wild are rare now, and not many countries allow them to be shot. To shoot one costs upward of $100,000 and entails a trip to somewhere like Tanzania.
It's much cheaper to fly out to South Africa and have a lion ready-made to be shot.
Shooting a lion bred in captivity costs around $50,000, and it's anything but a fair contest. Typically, the lion is released into a small area, and being accustomed to humans makes it an easy target.
The target animal is unfairly restrained from escaping the hunter, either by physical constraints such as fencing, or by mental constraints such as being habituated and bottle-fed and raised by humans.
Shooting captive lions is called canned hunting. It's legal in South Africa. It generates a lot of money, and it relies on the existence of the lion farms.
I feel that that is unethical. It is something that is cruel. I think the lions do know and realize it, and they have feelings as well. And I'm totally against it from a personal point of view, and I feel there's no need for it, and I feel that the revenue generated for something like that is not nearly enough to justify what actually happens with these animals. I've seen enough to be totally against it.
Fiona's sexual abnormalities are no doubt a result of lion breeding for the canned hunting industry. So operating on her is one way for Dr. Caldwell to express his opposition to those practices. Genetic issues aside, Fiona also has a large tumour on one of her nipples that needs urgent attention. This could be a long and potentially dangerous operation.
Most likely a melanoma. That's a highly malignant tumour, but it could just be granulation tissue as well from lying on the stomach and it rubbing, and chronic irritation can cause melanomas and basal cell carcinomas and all sorts of types of cancer, or neoplastic type of cancer as well.
What does the tumour mean for Fiona? That's next on Wild Animal Rescue. At Lionsrock, Dr. Peter Caldwell is performing surgery on Fiona. She has a serious cancerous tumour which has to be removed. But first, he wants to investigate her sexual organs. She's an hermaphrodite, meaning she has the sex organs of both female and male lions.
There is a male organ in there.
Dr. Caldwell intends to spay Fiona, which entails removing her uterus and other sexual organs.
I'm tying off the uterus and the ovary. Everything's not where it should be.
It turns out the spaying is the easy part of the surgery. As he explores further inside Fiona's abdomen, he discovers a network of blood vessels where there shouldn't be any.
So this is a situation here.
Tracking exactly where the blood vessels go requires a much larger incision than normally happens for a spay.
Initially I didn't make it wide enough, that's why I didn't see that blood vessel supplying this growth here. And it was branching off the blood vessel that goes to the uterus, which is most unusual. It's actually the first time I've seen that.
The blood vessel is connected to the nipple that has become a tumor. Normally, a spay would take around half an hour, but Fiona has now been in surgery for almost 2 hours.
She's not relaxed enough, eh?
Throughout the operation, Nurse Angelique manages the anesthesia. It's a constant balancing act, making sure Fiona is relaxed, but not so deeply sedated that her vital functions slow down too much.
She's breathing a bit faster, yeah. I'm not unhappy with it. We're still all right, I think.
Dr. Caldwell has managed to isolate and tie off the problem blood vessels. Simply removing the tumor, but not the blood vessels, would have increased the chance of new cancers growing.
We explored the whole abdomen and found 2 branching blood vessels on either side to this growth here that I'm going to remove now. So the surgery is not done yet.
Dr. Caldwell uses a cauterizing tool to cut around the tumor.
I tend to like to use this, especially if there's cancer involved, because you don't want any excessive bleeding and spread of the cancer. The recovery time is going to be a lot longer. She's going to sleep a while. Eh?
It's been a big operation. Fiona remains an unusual lion, but everything has been done to give her the chance of living a longer and healthier life.
If this was anyone else or any other facility, they would have opted for euthanasia. Most people don't want to spend money on things that don't look like lions.
This amount of care and work is typical of what happens at Lionsrock, attempting to right some of the wrongs these animals have endured. On the other side of the world, the Four Paws team is busy preparing Lionsrock's next arrivals. 5 lions from the failed zoo in the Romanian city of Baia Mare. 12-year-old Tahoun is the next to be sedated and examined.
So the general condition of him is a little bit better than the first one. The claws are okay. We have a look on the teeth. He was a little bit fat in the past. He lost a little bit of weight, but the skin is still there.
And what we can do?
Surgery. Now I guess if he gets some exercise, really good diet, then he will improve.
Tahoun is one of the lucky ones. Many of the animals rescued by Four Paws suffer from long-term medical complaints caused by the conditions they were kept in. With a proper diet and the space to roam at Lionsrock, Tahoun should return to good health within a few months. To coincide with the rescue and promote awareness around the plight of lions in captivity, Four Paws is putting on a street theatre performance in the centre of Baia Mare.
We gather here today to say goodbye to the 5 lions. So they will go to Africa, where they belong for real. And we try to emphasize this in order to show to the people the life in cage of this animal.
Sadly, Romania is a hotspot for animals being kept in inhumane conditions. Over 1/3 of the big cats at Lionsrock come from this country.
They don't know how the grass smells. They don't know how to walk on the ground because they were sitting on the concrete cages, and they don't know how the African sky looks like. They don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to be a real lion.
Four Paws stages events like this to change the way people think about animals in captivity. If they can get the public on board, then they have a better chance of persuading local politicians to tighten the laws around animals in zoos and circuses. The ultimate aim is for Four Paws to not have to step in and rescue Romanian animals. Next, the Baia Mare lions finally depart their cramped cages and concrete floors for the grass and open spaces of Africa. In the town of Baia Mare in Romania, 5 lions are being prepared for transport to Lionsrock Sanctuary in South Africa. Lydia, the female with an eye injury, is next to be anaesthetized. She's one of the 3 older lions. They grew up in the Romanian state circus and spent 15 years in captivity.
Let's look on the eyes. So the lens is loose and there's fibrin inside.
If you shake it, what happens? It actually moves
inside. It moves, yeah. So the cornea is not clear anymore, so the vision is not very good. She hardly can see on the side.
There's no evidence of physical damage to the surface of the eye, so Dr. Goeritz suspects it could be related to her environment and living conditions.
It doesn't look like a trauma from outside, because the cornea is not too bad, but it could be a stump trauma, jumping, whatever, or it could be also related to alimentation. So we have to check the blood for diabetes and all this stuff.
Dr. Goeritz can't treat the eye any further here, but the team will arrange for Lydia to have surgery at Lionsrock once they receive the blood results and have identified what the problem is.
Can you check the thyroid parameters and check for diabetes?
Lydia and the 2 younger males are in their crates and loaded into the transport van. Just the parents, Patrica and Lavinia, remain. Aged around 15 years, they're not excessively old for captive lions. However, their hard lives in Romania, especially in recent years, means they're not in good health.
So this guy needs a longer infusion.
Patrica looks very thin and weak. The small budget keeper Dr. Miclaus had for food resulted in the lions being fed offal and cheap cuts of meat.
Most likely he got severe kidney problems already. So we really have to do severe blood check then.
Kidney problems are common in captive big cats that haven't received proper nourishment or exercise.
And also they have he's got a little bit ulcer here already. Mm-hmm. Ulcer is a sign that the urea is increased, and urea doesn't increase when the kidneys doesn't work properly. But the blood work will tell us more.
Last to be treated is the mother lion, Lavinia. Her teeth are in a terrible state.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she needs major work. This most likely has to be removed, the right upper one, and this need root canal work. So both root canals are open, all 3 actually, but this has to be removed.
Lavinia's fractured teeth and exposed roots are most certainly causing her pain. She will need extensive dental treatment once she's settled in at Lionsrock. All of the lions are now loaded into their transport crates. Ahead of them lies a very long trip, 1,500 kilometers by road to Frankfurt Airport in Germany, followed by a 10-hour flight to South Africa. All up, they'll spend over 30 hours in transit. Their water will be regularly topped up on the journey.
So we are finished earlier than we suspect, so everything went smooth. That's a good thing. No excitement, everything went smooth, that's good.
Dr. Miclaus won't be traveling with the lions. He's afraid of flying, so this is the final goodbye. They've been a big part of his life for the last 13 years. 11 spent looking after them at the zoo, and then another 2 on his own here at the makeshift premises. It's a bittersweet moment, knowing he won't see his friends again, but able to feel satisfied that they will spend the rest of their lives in relative comfort. Dr. Miclaus's work with lions is finally over. The Baia Mare lions aren't the only Romanian big cats to make the long trip to the Four Paws Sanctuary in South Africa. Veterinarian Dr. Peter Caldwell has a number of tigers on his patient list that also come from Romania. This adult female is called Lena.
Check that lower canine, that side, and this side as well. The bottom two canines for sure, hey? Now this is going to be long. It's going to be 3 hours.
When we got to her, I evaluated her. We definitely know that she needed potentially 2 root canals. She looked quite good, and I put a dart in a cocktail of drugs that I normally use. Very conservative on the dosage and so on, because she's a smaller tiger.
Lena's dental problems arise from an upbringing very similar to the Baia Mare lions, if not worse. She was one of 10 big cats at the Ornești Zoo in Romania, which was shut down in 2007 when it failed to meet European Union standards. With nowhere else to go, the animals spent another 6 long years locked away, with no improvement in living conditions.
Die Tiere werden vom Zoo finanziell unterstützt oder ja, auch gepflegt von den Pflegern. Aber man sieht, dass in den letzten Jahren einfach kein Geld da reingesteckt worden ist. Man muss sich einfach die Großkatzen, die Raubkatzen anschauen. Denen geht es unter diesen Bedingungen sehr schlecht und ich fühle total mit.
When Four Paws was alerted to the plight of Lena and the other cats, they began planning a rescue. Finally, in 2013, all 10 animals made the long trip to a new life at Lionsrock. Now that Lena has settled into her new home, it's time to fix some of the more serious health problems resulting from her previous life.
She went down really nice, she fell asleep well, her breathing was really good. It took about 6 minutes for her to fall asleep, which is on average normally how long it takes. Although I did get an impression that she fell asleep a little bit quicker than what it was normal.
Tigers are the most dangerous of the big cats to work with, so Peter takes extra care when entering the enclosure. But as he gets close to Lena, he quickly notices that she's not responding well to the anesthetic.
Yeah, let's get on this. She's good. There you go. I don't like this.
She's thirsty.
She initially just stopped breathing, and we ensured that she had a good airway, and then we started giving her respiratory stimulants intravenously, and then she went into cardiac arrest and her heart had stopped.
Will I do compressions?
Yeah, you can do compressions.
Next, can the medical team save Lena? And the Baia Mare lions finally arrive in South Africa. Lena the tiger has reacted badly to anesthesia and has gone into cardiac arrest.
And you haven't liked this, huh?
Dr. Caldwell and Nurse Angelique are desperately trying to keep her alive.
Will I do compressions?
Yeah, you can do compressions. Angelique started CPR, and I started implementing chemical CPR, where I injected adrenaline intravenously to get the heart to start functioning. And then I injected other drugs to stimulate breathing. I immediately gave the reversal of the sedative. We got her breathing, we got her heart back, and it was probably about 4 or 5 minutes when she started blinking and started showing us nice response.
This is potentially a very dangerous situation for Dr. Caldwell. He must get Lena into a stable condition without being mauled in the process.
When last was this tiger immobilized?
Before she came, we didn't do her sanctuaries here.
We need to do some blood work on her and see what's going on there. If you dart her with Zolota on her own, she's going to die, because there's no reversal there.
It's not unusual for tigers to experience cardiovascular complications while anesthetized. But this does mean Lena's dental procedures will have to wait.
Yeah, so we're going to give her at least 6 months to recover from this before we try anything like that. She'll probably be a bit stiff and sore for the next 2-3 days, but I do suspect that she will be fine, but we need to find out what the cause is. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take any blood or do any clinical evaluation, so we have to reevaluate the drugs that we're going to use to immobilize her next time. So we probably have to use a different drug combination.
Lena was fortunate to have such an experienced team taking care of her. Her dental appointment would be rescheduled once blood samples have been taken and Dr. Caldwell is satisfied it's safe to anesthetize her again. After nearly 2 days traveling, the Baia Mare lions have finally touched down in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Honestly, I was very stressed about their condition because they were really in very bad shape. And you know, all the transports and all these kind of activities are very stressful for them. And you never know if they make it.
The final leg of their journey is a 3-hour drive to Lionsrock. Most of the 90-odd big cats already at Lionsrock have made a similar trip, having been rescued from a European country. They're curious about the new arrivals. A strange landscape, unfamiliar people. It's a totally alien environment. So it's no surprise Lydia is slow to leave the security of her travel crate. Today, the lions are being released into an adaptation enclosure. At 5,000 square meters, it dwarfs their former home. Once they're acclimatized, they will move into permanent enclosures with even more space to roam in.
I would say mission accomplished. It was very touching to see how every single animal reacted when the crate was open and they were confronted with their new life, with the grass, with the freedom of, you know, open sky, the other lions that are around and they are looking curious at them, the sound of the other lions, and also the huge information that comes with such a place. I think we are not understanding 100% how much it's changing in an animal when from concrete, from a box, suddenly grass. First time after 15 years of your life.
Next time on Wild Animal Rescue. 4 Paws returns to Gaza to rescue animals.